Mercedes have emerged as a sudden race win contender over the last 2 months, and with the ongoing performance jumps, they might even think about challenging the top 3 in the Constructors' Championship, especially considering the fact they got the majority of all their 266 points in these last months. The most important part of this all, they did this with little upgrades, thus have a lot coming for the last 10 races, starting off with a really big upgrade directly after the summer stop in Zandvoort. Mercedes expects their new floor, which was at first abandoned following Friday's free practice at the Belgian Grand Prix, to be back on the W15 for the next race in Zandvoort, further solidifying their position at the front. Could they really make a big comeback in the Constructors' Championship? During the last race weekend, the drivers suddenly encountered bouncing again on their first run at Spa with the complete upgrade package, and the team suspected mechanical setup difficulties were to blame. After overnight work in Brackley and at the track, it was agreed to return to the previous floor on Saturday. The car performed significantly better in the rainy qualifying session, with Lewis Hamilton qualifying 4th. Even Mercedes was shocked by the car's performance on Sunday, with George Russell winning on the road and Hamilton inheriting the victory after his teammate was disqualified. On Friday, we were not competitive, but there wasn't a clear direction, said team boss Toto Wolff. And honestly, I must admit that the overnight work that was done from Friday to Saturday in Brackley, in the sim, and also here on the track side, engineering side, was the key. So we remedied that, but we didn't see the pace in the race as it actually came in. The car was quicker, and we had control of the race, either with the 1 stop or with the 2 stop. So that's the positive to take from the weekend. Wolff anticipates the new Mercedes floor to be reintroduced at Zandvoort and maybe compared to the previous version in a back-to-back. We made a drastic change in order to recover some of the performance, and we believe it was in the floor, he said. So it will be quite interesting when we put everything on the car at Zandvoort and correlate and see what one does and the other. Then we can be sure whether it's the mechanical bit that we thought we got wrong, or whether there's a few directions, aerodynamically and mechanical, that didn't work. Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin stated that the troubles on Friday in Belgium were caused by the setup, not the floor itself. The reason we reverted the car to the Silverstone spec on Friday night was because we had a good race in Silverstone, he said. Spa and Silverstone are not dramatically different circuits in terms of the corner speed range that you are dealing with. We had clearly introduced some problems somewhere. We think that was largely due to how we were running the car in Spa, not induced by the updates themselves. That was giving us a bit of bouncing in the high-speed corners, as well as a few issues with the balance. Going to that Silverstone car got it all back to normal. We have since had time to look at the data to understand what it was that we did, and we are pretty confident that we will be going for a reintroduction in Zandvoort. Chauvelin noted that in Belgium, excessive bouncing with the new floor was reducing driver confidence. One of the issues with Spa is it is a fast circuit and it needs a lot of commitment from the driver, he said. We managed to introduce a bit of bouncing to the car, so in the high-speed corners that is not great for their confidence. There were a couple of other balance issues where they had a lack of entry stability. When you are wanting to brake late and carry speed into a corner, that does not help. At a normal track, that might have cost us a little bit of time. On a big circuit like Spa with some pretty big corners, that was becoming a large number. The car was not in the right place, but it is one of those very specific things about Spa where if the drivers have not got the car doing what they want, it can cost them a lot of performance. It was exactly the right thing for us to just revert to that known specification. Recent races have been more than satisfying for Mercedes, but Toto Wolff says Mercedes must have both feet on the ground, despite its great performance heading into the summer break. The Austrian believes that while his squad is on the right track, other competitors are not, and he does not want to preempt how the rest of the year would go. After only one victory in the modern ground effects era, which began in 2022, the Brackley-based outfit has now won 3 of the last 4 Grand Prix. While George Russell inherited his Austrian Grand Prix victory, Lewis Hamilton won both at Silverstone and Spa-Francorchamps on his own merit. Mercedes and its 2 drivers are too far adrift in the title races to realistically challenge Red Bull and Max Verstappen, but the team enters the second half of the year in a position to compete for wins week after week, even if Wolff will not be involved in predictions. "I think we need to remain with both feet on the ground," he said, when asked what Mercedes' current performance implies for the next 10 races of the season. "The swings of performance, you see a trend, definitely that's positive on our side. With some other teams, you see a negative if trend, but I don't think we should really preempt how the second half of the season is going to go." Red Bull began the 2024 Formula One season in the same imperious form as it completed the previous year. Verstappen and Sergio Perez dominated the first 4 rounds with 3 1-2 results, but the RB20's performance edge has now evaporated, and the Mexican driver's form has plummeted. Ferrari has moved closer to Red Bull, while McLaren and Mercedes have made the most significant progress. In the 9 rounds before and including the Miami Grand Prix, the two teams had won 5 races between them. McLaren now trails Red Bull by only 42 points in the Constructors' Championship and, on current trends, will win the title. F1 is currently in a situation where it is difficult to anticipate which of the 3 teams will be the strongest on any given weekend, and Ferrari is still in the mix, as Wolff is well aware. "I think it's a tough fight. There's 4 teams ahead that keep giving it everything," the Mercedes team principal added. "So, I think we can be carefully optimistic. But we gotta prove it. There's 10 races to go." Mercedes' performance at the Belgian Grand Prix was quite shocking and unexpected. The W15 seemed to be in significant problems during Friday's free practice, so the team opted to reverse the improvements made at Spa and return to the prior specification. Wolff stated how his team attempted to organise the weekend. "We weren't competitive on Friday, but there was no clear direction to go. And honestly, I have to say that the night work from Friday to Saturday in Brackley, in the simulator, as well as the engineering work here at the track, were key. We had changed a lot for Friday, but it was a mechanical misalignment with what we thought the car would do, so we remedied that." The W15's performance in Spa nonetheless exceeded all expectations, allowing Mercedes to celebrate their 3rd win in the past 4 races, despite losing Russell's result. "We didn't see the pace that actually came. Our car was the quickest. We were in control of the race, both with a 1-stopper and a 2-stopper. So that's the positive thing about the weekend. A 1-2 would have been a great result before the summer break. It couldn't have gone better. The positive thing, the most positive thing we can take from this Grand Prix, is that we had 2 cars that were the benchmark with 2 different strategies. And who would have said that a few months ago? That's really nice to see." What do you think? Will Mercedes stay at the top of the grid in those remaining 10 races? And if this were to be the case, where could they end up in the championship? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video.